So I've been promising an update on the new digital learning platform that SAP are due to give us to replace the SAP Enable Now learning component. So what gave us the ability to create book pages and books for e-learnings and courses and for simulations as well. So in this video, I'm going to look at what we know is coming and some things that we know we're not going to get in the first release. I do have like one screenshot to share because I don't want to get in trouble for sharing anything I shouldn't, but there have been some demos recently, so we have a pretty good idea on what to expect. Actually, I don't have a screenshot because I did get in trouble for sharing something I shouldn't have. In the previous version of this video, there was one screen capture I'd got from one of the demonstrations that I'd seen, which shows the basic interface for the new product. However, WalkMe's legal team objected because that wasn't public information at that time, so they made me take the video down. However, since then, they have now made more information available, including their own videos, which are public facing, so that's in the public domain now. So I do include a screen grab of a frame from that video of theirs in this video of mine instead. First, the big news is that although it was initially scheduled for general availability first quarter next year, 2026, with some pilot customers going live probably in fourth quarter 2025, that's actually been brought forward, which is a major development for SAP. And the official release date, the last we heard, was December 15th, 2025. They have promised us that some product will be available then, for purchase, for licensing. And the timing, it kind of fits in just before year end. So anyone that's been holding on to renewals or whatever else can sneak those in before the year end closes out. So that's probably the timing on that. And yes, we will get a to be named digital learning platform. The name's still not been confirmed. Some people are saying, yes, it's absolutely going to be called WalkMe Digital Learning. Others are saying absolutely will not be called WalkMe anything. So who knows at this stage? When I do get a name, I'll let you know in one of the channels. Now that's the big news here, and from the demonstrations I've seen so far, that's certainly likely. They can hit that date. I've seen a functioning content development demonstration, not so much on the delivery, but it's browser based. It's not going to be too difficult to pull that together. So let's dive into what we're going to get with this new product. First of all, it's going to basically offer three types of learning stuff that you can create. That is micro learnings, which are basically quick hit, short, single bits of information that you just want to get out there and then made available to your users. Very quick content to develop and release as well. So something like a video or a simulation walkthrough type of thing, but very small, encapsulated, throw it out there, make that available to people. The next thing, the big thing that we want is the ability to create a course, as in an online course. This isn't designed for building presentations like PowerPoint, where you've got an instructor standing up for instructor-led training in a classroom, showing a slide, talking over it, showing the next slide, talking over that. This is really for e-learning, self-paced training, CBT, WBT, whatever you call them. So the user logs on, takes this course themselves. There is no instructor. So everything's got to be in the course. So the ability to create courses is absolutely going to be there. That's the key part of this. If we don't get that, it's failed as a product. So it's got to have that. And from what I've seen, yes, it will have that. The other thing that you can create is a learning journey. And this is basically a succession of courses that you put into a structure for users. So users who want to learn about X, there's a, course A, Learners 101 course, and then the course B, which is in detail, and the third course will be the expert version or whatever. However it's structured, or learn the first things and move on. But basically building out a learning path or a learning journey. That's kind of something we can expect to see in the new product. But again, that's really just going to be a bunch of courses that are put together. So again, the course is the big thing here. And as I suspected, the format of that course content is going to be what we've seen if you go and take any of the WalkMe learning that's available, or you go and take anything that's on SAP Learning Now, and the way that some of the stuff on Learning Hub was, of it basically being structured as a single page that you just scroll down and it's got successive contents in there. So moving away from that static slide or book page that has everything on it, and then you flip to the next book page and that's got more information on it. This is going to be a continuous screen of information that you're going to scroll through to see all of the content in it. Now, that's not a bad format. It does seem to be a bit of a more modern approach, and a lot of companies are moving towards that type of content development. And with browsers being prevalent, and browsers, typically people are used to scrolling up and down, I think that makes a lot more sense. It's more intuitive for learners rather than a page flipper. If you imagine a book with a bunch of book pages that you're having to flip through, that seems to be a bit old school now. So we're going to get this continuous page. The important thing here is what you can put on that page. And that, as I suspected, is going to be done via a series of widgets. And you just drop those widgets onto there, and that gives you your scrolling structure. If you've built anything using WordPress recently, that works exactly the same way. You get these blocks that you can put in there, and as many as you need for as long as that page needs to be. That's how you do it. So, what types of blocks of information or widgets are we going to get? So here's where I wanted to show you the interface of the new product, which I can't do now. Probably because they're still working on it and it's liable to change for reasons that I'll explain later in this original video. However, that's not really the important thing I wanted to share. The interface is basically, there is a big column where you're going to put your content and you drop effectively widgets into that in the sequence that you want them to appear. And at the moment, or the last time I saw a demo, the widgets were basically listed along the top, and you just dragged a widget down and dropped it into that column of information in the order you wanted it to be. Now that's the thing that may change, but the thing I wanted to focus on here is what types of widget are available. So here we have a screen grab from WalkMe's official video. This looks slightly different from how you select widgets versus what I saw in the demos. So the rest of this video talks to how things saw in the demos, because this is just a graphic image. I think this has been manufactured to look like this and isn't actually a snagit or screen grab of the interface itself. But it does show you the types of objects or content types, widget types that you can include in your training. Now this list here doesn't include everything that was in the original demo that I saw. However, if you look on the right hand side of this, it looks like there's space for a scroll bar, so it may be that there's more content objects down here. But again, that's not really the important part. We've got different types of content, which we'll talk about in a minute, and you drag those or drop or put them into wherever you want them to appear in that interface, and that's how you build your content out into that big single column. Now back to the original video. Now I was a bit surprised to see that kind of drag and drop interface. I was kind of expecting it to go more along the lines of what you see in WalkMe digital adoption platform when you're building the in-application help. If you're looking at a structured walkthrough, you get your steps in there, and between each step, or at the start, if you've got no steps yet, there's a little plus. You click on that, it pops up a menu and says, what do you want to insert here? Step, automated step, shout out, or whatever else it is, pop up, those kinds of things. So I expected it to be, you get the little plus, click on that, expand it. That's also the way that it generally works in WordPress as well. But here they're going with that drag and drop from the top. And it's fine, it works either way. It may change later. It wouldn't surprise me if they start adding more and more different types of widgets. They're going to run out of space, and they're either going to have to double stack them or reduce it to just the icon, which is less meaningful and people generally don't like that, or go to that, click on a plus and have the pop-up that says, okay, what type of content do you want to do? But for now, it is those widgets along the top. And those widgets are a text widget. And so obviously where you can put your text in there, I anticipate that being rich text. Obviously, you've got to be able to do bulleted lists, numbered lists, highlights, bolds, italics. I also expect it to be more in line with what we see in the text editor in SAP Enable Now at the moment. So you've got paragraph styles, text character styles, the ability to insert an image and float it left or right, or insert a table, or all of those kinds of things. I expect to see that kind of functionality in there, and not just straight paragraphs of text. So that's the first type of widget. Next, image. You can insert JPEGs, PNGs. I've not seen GIFs in there, but I'd expect it to support GIFs as well. And importantly, SVGs. So SVGs you can do in Enable Now, finally, but it took a long while to get there. It's been there for about a year, I think. But SVGs off the bat will be available as a supported image type, which is great because they scale really well. And that's probably why they're really supporting SVGs, and they want people to use those for graphical elements, because all of this content, they've said, will be displayable device format independent. So you can do it on a desktop, you can do it on a tablet, you can do it on your phone, and it's going to scale that stuff. And anyone that's worked in any training content and has tried to make it renderable on a much smaller screen, you'll know that SVGs scale perfectly, whereas stuff like GIFs in particular, even PNGs and JPEGs, they can get a bit grainy when they're scaled. And honestly, SAP Enable Now did an absolutely horrible job of scaling elements, because it would always bring the image in full size and then use a size property on the tags in the HTML to do that scaling, which obviously doesn't work well. So it's great that they've got SVG off the bat in there. Next, we've got the ability to drop videos in there. If you carried out any of WalkMe's training on its Digital Adoption Institute, they use videos a lot. In fact, the SAP Learning, now that they've got WalkMe training on SAP Learning, if you go and look at that, they use a lot of very short videos, like 12-second videos, of which 3 seconds is the intro, then you get 6 seconds of content, and then 3 seconds of the outro, which to me is a waste. But they've got a lot of these short form videos in there. And this is absolutely going to support that in this new digital adoption platform that we're going to see. So videos, easy drag and drop to put the videos in there. The other thing, the next widget is screen recordings. So if you say that you want to basically demonstrate something, for example, you can go straight into a screen recording. You can drop that screen recording widget and it will say, okay, what do you want to record? Select your application, do voiceover, I imagine, and basically record what you're doing in the system. Basically, it's doing what Snagit or Camtasia would do, but in line here, which is good because it means you don't have to create those assets outside of this product and then import them. You can create them directly within here, which is going to speed up development. So that's a good thing as well. Next, we've got embedded content. So PDFs, PowerPoints, Word documents, whatever else, anything that you've got a handler in the browser that can support those things, then you can drop those in here as embedded content, and you can pull those from your asset library. It always wants you to have stuff in your asset library, but you can load stuff into the asset library at the same time if it doesn't exist there already. So embedded content like that, easy to drop this stuff into a course as well. Next, we have the ability to actually put a simulation in there. Not an SAP Enable Now simulation, we'll get to that, but to create a simulation in WalkMe, in the new digital adoption platform. I'm doing it myself already, I shouldn't. The new digital adoption platform, create a simulation in native format in that. Exactly what that's going to look like, I don't know. I would imagine that they're going to heavily leverage the SAP Enable Now web recorder functionality to give us that capability. But the ability to create simulations that in theory users can play back in demo mode, what we know as practice mode at the moment. I expect those two modes to be available as well. and maybe the ability to create a document from it as well, because they've talked a lot about different modalities and wanting to support those and be able to create a video for your content if you learners want to learn that way, or a document output if they want to read it. So I'd expect simulations to be able to save in or to be made available, whether it's automatic or you have to create it like you do in Enable Now, to have that available for simulations here. There's also the ability to drop in knowledge check questions or self-check questions, as they term it here. So similar to the knowledge checks that you've got in SAP Enable Now, where you're just confirming their knowledge of what you've covered so far. And there you're going to get the usual multiple choice, true or false, sort order, the matrix layout, which is like the grid layout you get in Enable Now at the moment, matching, hotspots on images, all of those standard ones. Also, it's saying that we will be able to have an open text type of question. So, describe in a few words how this bit of functionality works, and then the user has to type that in. How that is validated and marked to see if they're correct or not is interesting. I expect them to leverage AI for doing that, because they're trying to build AI into a lot of this. So that would be kind of interesting to see how that works. These free text answers have got to be validated somehow. I don't know if you have to specify a bunch of keywords, or again, I think AI will probably play a fairly large part in that. You can also kind of add attachments. That's one of the other widgets in here. That basically gives you something that you can download. So not like the embedded content where it basically displays that PDF on the screen, but if you want to make an Excel spreadsheet available as a template for your users to download or whatever, or quick references, you can provide links to them in line with all of your other content. So that's an option there. And the last widget that we have, which is the one I'm most excited about, is the SAP Enable Now widget. And that lets you put Enable Now content directly into your new digital adoption platform course. And that's going to apply to simulations and book pages. And I anticipate books. So bring in a book that's got a bunch of slides in it. I've not seen that working. The book pages, yes. The simulations, yes. So if you've got legacy content built in SAP Enable Now, you can import that into the new digital learning platform. You can bring that content in. It's stored in a separate area of your digital learning platform content. So you've got all of your standard digital learning platform native content that we're talking about here, and then you've got this extra bucket that you've managed to bring all of your Enable Now content into. So you can keep using that content for however long, I don't know. I assume for the life of this product. Maybe they'll cut it off at some stage, but you're literally bringing that content in so you can reuse it, and they'll cut off the Enable Now servers. So you'll lose access to your workspaces, but all of the content that you brought into WalkMe will be in the WalkMe servers for you to access. Now, while we're talking about that, the other good stuff in here is that they previously committed to having SAP Enable Now content renderable. So if you brought in a simulation, you could play it back as part of a digital learning platform course. And it would display that, and it would work perfectly well. Users can click around in practice mode or whatever else. And they promised us the same with book pages. As far as rendering that content, getting it to display to your users so you can continue to use it and don't suddenly have to recreate everything. That's still the case, and even better than that, SAP have promised us we will be able to edit that content. So if you've got a simulation and you just need to tweak the bubble text for some reason, or you've got a book page and you need to tweak something in that, you will be able to edit it. We're going to have browser-based editors, which we've kind of got in Enable Now already. Certainly we can edit simulations online and book pages online. We used to be able to do way back when, then they stopped that, then they brought it back. So I anticipate them using that same functionality. It's already been built, it's already there. Will you be able to create new content? Will you be able to create new book pages, for example? I don't know. I'd be surprised. because they don't really want you doing things the Enable Now way. They want you all in on this new product. So I anticipate being able to edit existing ones, creating new ones. I don't know. You might have to kind of like cheat and like duplicate an existing one to get yourself a new one and then edit that extensively to make your new page. I don't know. But certainly tweaks and stuff like that, you will be able to edit your SAP Enable Now content from within the new product. So far so good. That's great news, because it means that anyone who's not sure about moving over to the new product can move sooner and bring all of their Enable Now content with them, and then take their time updating it as it needs significant change, or as they go through a system upgrade and need to update stuff anyway. So worrying about the amount of content you've got, and I've got clients that have got tens of thousands of simulations and book pages and stuff, and they just don't have the capacity or the enthusiasm to redo all of that stuff. So that's absolutely great news. So that's everything that I've seen on the new product. Now, talking about other things that are coming, aren't coming, etc. Let's talk about those. So first of all, they've said that we're going to have some kind of templating or theming or branding type of stuff with it. Branding, absolutely. We'll be able to get this so that you can drop your company logos in here. Your color schemes, I expect it to be able to define those as well. Exactly what, I'm not sure, or how that's going to fit into your course page. Getting all of your headers a certain color, that should be nice and easy to do. So something similar to the text styles that we've got in Enable Now. I'm hoping that we'll get something as easy to use as that, and we don't have to dive into the CSS to tweak things like you sometimes have to do with WalkMe DAP. So I anticipate a text styles, some kind of theming, colorization, standard palettes, that kind of stuff. The templating, I'm not sure how that's going to work. I don't know if they will say, okay, if you want to create a course, we'll let you create a course template. And that will always have this type of course title, this rubric up front, and then it's going to have a section here, and that section is going to have a heading, it's going to have a background image, it's going to have a text box, it's going to have a video, then a new section, and let you build that out like you could build out a book template in SAP Enable Now. That's what I anticipate on the templating side of things. As far as simulations go, are we going to get simulation templates? Unknown at this stage. Are we going to get a recording dictionary that we can edit like you can in Enable Now? At some stage, probably, but not now. Certainly not in the first release. Okay, so I've said that we can import SAP Enable Now content, and it's going to be editable and displayable. They've also said that we will be able to import SCORM packages into the new product. So if you've SCORMed something out already and you've got that SCORM package, you'll be able to bring it into the new digital learning platform. Okay, I don't believe you're going to be able to edit it, because a SCORM package is a SCORM package. You can't do that. Any other LMS that you bring stuff into, it comes in as a package, that's it, but you can play it. So I'd anticipate a similar thing to here. You can set up a learning journey that's got SCORM packages attached to it, along with your own courses maybe, and work that way. But that's a new thing. I've been asked several times by different clients, can we import SCORM packages into SAP Enable Now? Answer has always been no. But now we will have that capability. So if you need to do that, you can do it. Now let's look at the things we're not going to get in release 1. There's a lot of things on their wish list or on the roadmap, and they did a good job of going around and talking to customers, finding out what they needed. Me personally, if I can draw a dotted line, I will be absolutely ecstatic with this new product, because we've been asking that forever with SAP Enable Now. Really not difficult to do, but we've not had it. So drawing dotted lines, I'll be over the moon if we get that. All right. So things we're not going to get. Translations. Apparently not coming in release 1. The ability to translate your content. Now, they've done a reasonable amount of work into WalkMe DAP recently to allow you to translate stuff either via sending it out or submitting it to a translation agency from within the tool, or basically going into the console and being able to type the translations yourself. So I anticipate those types of things coming to this product, but apparently not in release 1. But more importantly, I don't like static translation, send it out for translation, get it back. I like the ability that SAP Enable Now gave us of dynamic translations. So at the time of display in the browser, you can click to turn it into another language using SAP Translation Hub. Now, I've been told that the interface to Translation Hub is coming to this new product as well, just like we had before, for the in-application help via WalkMe DAP and for the learning content via the new digital learning platform. I've been told we can expect that. Is it going to continue to be free like it is in SAP Enable Now? I hope so. But as always, SAP reserve the right to charge for that service. So we'll see what happens with that. But translation with Translation Hub integration in a later release. Maybe the second half of next year, maybe beyond there. I don't know. It depends on what they prioritize. The other big thing we're not going to get in the first release is audio. All of my e-learnings, my courseware that I've built using books and book pages always has audio on it. There's this, I think it's a perception, but a misperception that things are more professional if it has audio as well. So I get asked for it a lot. A lot of clients, we end up putting that text-to-speech audio on there or recording live person audio. We're not going to have that capability in release 1 on December 15th for the new digital learning platform. I don't even know how that's going to work, because if you've got a page that's made up of multiple widgets in there and you're scrolling through them, at what point does the audio kick in and out? Is it attached to a particular widget, and when that widget gets focus, it starts playing that audio? And how does it know when it's got focus? If you're just scrolling by reading stuff, at what point does that kick in? So technically, I'm not sure how that's going to work. Maybe they're not as well, and that's why it's on the back burner at the moment. So I've been told not yet for audio. When we get it, if we get it, I don't know. The other thing that's not really on the cards for release 1 is the type of animation that we used to be able to do with book pages, of moving things around that page or fading stuff in and out. Click on this, something else happens over there. That kind of interaction type stuff, that's not currently scheduled to be available. And again, I'm not sure how it would work. If they give us the ability to create book pages still, and you can do all of the book page functionality, including all of the nice stuff like, animation controls, object visibility controls, timer controls, all of those fantastic bits of SAP Enable Now functionality. If we get those and we can still use those on book pages, and you can drop a book page in as a widget, then great, you can do all of that. If you've got a white page on the overall white background, it's just going to look like this little bit in the screen that you're interacting with or that's doing things. That's good enough. Absolutely happy with that. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that if they can give it to us. But as yet, it's not currently on the release schedule for release 1. The other thing that we're probably not going to see in release 1 is some kind of workflow capabilities. Now, workflow was always very underutilized in SAP Enable Now anyway. Most of my clients found it a bit too cumbersome. The notifications that get sent to someone, hey, you've got a simulation ready for review, that was horrible. Awful interface. And when they clicked on the link in the email, it would send them to manager and they'd be lost. And providing feedback in the flow of that review was impossible. You had to put it in a separate document or an email. There was a kind of comment functionality, but again, way too kludgy to use and for the authors to see that stuff. Even using the live review functionality, which is a fantastic bit of functionality that I like, it was always a bit tricky to get people to use that. And for it to work reliably, especially over VDI, that was always a problem. So I'm really looking forward to seeing some kind of workflow capability here. I'd anticipate it being something like the share capabilities that you get in WalkMe DAP at the moment, where you can send it to someone for review and they can open it up and they can see it. The help content, it basically puts it all in a document for them to look at. I don't like that. Simulations and courseware, I'd expect it to be able to, them to be able to play it just like learners and end users can. But the ability to assign content to people, for them to review, comment, approve, updating statuses, that kind of stuff, I really hope we're going to see that in this product. I've been told probably it's going to be sometime in the first half of 2026 we should see those capabilities. But content creation is one thing, but getting that reviewed by the right people, capturing those review comments and being able to respond to those, the easiest way we can do that is what's going to save us time in content development. Because anyone can throw images and words on a page, but that review process and that workflow process is usually what takes the time. Getting it to people, getting their feedback, responding to that feedback, updating the content. So the more they can do to give us robust workflow capabilities, the better. So that's more on the development side again. Now, as far as what the end users are going to see, we're going to see something similar to the learner view that we have in SAP Enable Now at the moment, or a My Learning view like you'll get in SuccessFactors. On which point, bear in mind that there's probably not that many companies that are going to use this new digital learning platform as their LMS. They're probably going to have Workday, or they're going to have SuccessFactors, or any one of those other products that allow you to do those things as a full functioning LMS. Same as with Enable Now. The learning view in Enable Now was kind of, if you don't have an LMS, this will work for you. It will give you something. Users can come in here, we can assign content to them based on individual, based on role, based on OU, organizational unit, and they can carry out that content, they can see their progress and stuff like that. I think the new digital learning platform is going to be similar. It's going to be a kind of LMS light. If you don't have anything better, you don't have a full function LMS available in your corporation, here's at least something that lets you get your learning content that you've built in this tool in front of your users' eyeballs. So I expect some form of My Learning thing that's going to show them what courses are assigned to them, however they're assigned, what courses are available, a search function, and them to be able to see their progress. Now, I've talked in previous videos on the ability, they've said that it's going to be very tightly integrated with SuccessFactors. And something I've been pushing for years is to cover this concept of consume anywhere, be tracked centrally, or so you can see your progress centrally. So if you carry out some learning content directly from the My Learning interface here, or via SuccessFactors, or via the Walk Me menu in the in-application help, however you consume that content, if it's part of your required learning, you should get credit for consuming that content. And that should be reflected in SuccessFactors or your other LMS maybe. SuccessFactors certainly, because it's an SAP product, and all of SAP products should work seamlessly together. So I'm really hoping that we are actually going to see that, and we're going to see this consume anywhere, but you're going to see your progress always in SuccessFactors. So I anticipate that coming up at some stage, along with the usual segmentation via role, org unit, whatever else, however else we choose to do it. As segmentation has always been a very big part of WalkMe DAP, I anticipate that mindset coming over into the digital learning platform for assigning content to users. So that should be good. And learning paths and courses feeding into all of that. Finally, there's a lot of talk about AI with this new product. Everyone's always talking about AI, and if a product doesn't have some form of AI capabilities, it's dead in the water. I'm not convinced it's the be-all and end-all of everything, but AI is going to be in here. And one of the things that they are talking is the ability to create a course via AI. Basically, you can drop a bunch of content in there, maybe a few documents you've got, a PDF, a Word document, maybe an existing PowerPoint presentation, maybe a simulation. Throw them all in there and say, hey, create me a cohesive course from all of this source material. And it will go and build that out for you. It will give you the structure. It will give you all of the content in a logical order. It will give you knowledge check questions and give you your introduction slides, what you have learned slides, that kind of stuff, and build all of that out automatically for you in this format. That's there already. I've seen that working. Again, you've got to give it the right content to build stuff from, which is where all of this AI stuff falls down, because it's got to have something it can pull from. And you either use the great pool of knowledge that's on the internet, and who knows what you're going to get there, or you're going to use your own in-company data sources, which means you've got to have that content built out already, just so that AI can then repurpose it. So I'm not convinced it's going to fix everything for us, and I don't think it's going to give us completely finished products. It might get us 50% of the way there, maybe 80% of the way there, but you're still going to want to have content developers that can go and make sense of all of this and finish it up. I hope so, because that's my job. And I don't believe that AI yet is going to make me redundant. But AI is going to be a part of this. But whereas I said that you can get it to build a course based on a bunch of different content, and if you're thinking, oh great, well I've got all my Enable Now content and my Enable Now simulations, and they're in WalkMe, I can just drop them in there and it can work on those as well. No, it's not going to build on, certainly not from what I've seen so far, and I don't think it's in plan to pull in Enable Now content as well as all of your other sources and build a course out using that. If you've got simulations created in the new digital learning platform, yes, you can put those in there and it will incorporate them in this AI built course, but not native Enable Now content. So anyway, that's all the information I have. The product is continuing to be developed and demoed, and as I see new content, I will absolutely keep you updated on all of that. I'll drop more videos in here. But for now, yes, as expected, as far as content creation goes, it's going to be that continuous page format in the browser, which we expected, and widgets for different types of information that you want to make available in that page, which honestly is a fairly quick way of developing content. But quick is not always the best. As I said before, I use book pages a lot. I use all of the Enable Now functionality in there. Sometimes it can take me a day to build a book page that takes the users 10 minutes to go through. Is that worthwhile? To me, it is yes. You're giving a rich, detailed, interactive user experience that they're really going to learn from. Can I just slap a bunch of text and a couple of images on a continuous web page and call it done in 10 minutes? Absolutely. Is it going to be as rich a learning experience for our users? No. And I guess that's the playoff for anyone that's doing this. Yes, you can absolutely rapidly create content, but is that going to be the best content? Are you really teaching your learners what they need to know? So anyway, that's it. That's all I have for now. Thanks for you watching. If you found that useful, subscribe and you'll get all of the updates as we go forward. Thank you very much.